Hello everyone, my name is Arundhati Yamsani and I'm here to talk about stative verbs in a 5-part series of videos where in part 1 I'm going to deal with the introduction, part 2 I'm going to talk about stative verbs for beginners with plenty of examples, and in part 3 I'm going to deal with stative verbs and examples for advanced users. In part 4 I'm going to talk about the verbs that serve both as stative and dynamic, and in the last part, that is part 5, I'm going to discuss the functions of stative verbs as gerunds. Okay, so let's move on and look at part 1. So basically what a stative verb is, we have to know. Okay, so there are so many different kinds of verbs in English language. Okay, so you have regular and irregular verbs based on the form. You have transitive and intransitive verbs based on whether the verb has an object, and you also have stative and dynamic verbs depending on whether the word indicates a state, a physical state, or a condition, or is it an action. Okay, so as the word suggests, stative verbs describe a state or condition. Okay, in short they are also called state verbs. So they describe a state or condition and they don't talk about any action. There is no physical action going on. And they can be used in simple form, perfect form, with all tenses. Okay? And some verbs are strictly stative, meaning they don't have any dynamic meaning, while some other verbs are both stative and dynamic depending on the meaning with which they are used. What I mean to say is, in English language, one word can mean many different things. Okay, so the same word can have a stative meaning as well as a dynamic meaning. We're going to look at examples very soon. Okay, so this is what I mean, and because they describe the state or condition of something or someone, they cannot be used in the continuous or progressive form. They can be used with present participle, meaning you can add the suffix ing to denote a noun or an adjective, but you can't use the verb with ing in a sentence form that has helping verbs is, am, are, etc. Okay, so for example, you say I adore, that's a stative verb. Okay, so that can be used in simple form and also in perfect form. I have adored someone all my life. That is one proper sentence. But you can't say I am adoring, or he is adoring, or they are adoring. That is wrong to say. Okay, so let's look at what the stative verbs are. So stative verbs talk about senses. As we know, when you're talking about senses, you're not doing anything physically. But again, each verb can again have a dynamic meaning, which we're going to deal with later. So there's no need for confusion. So the senses basically of feel or touch, hear, sound, look, see, smell, and taste. Okay, so these are the senses. As I told you, these can have dynamic meaning also. Like for example, if you're looking at the word see means the act of looking with your eyes. That is the literal meaning. That is the direct meaning, when you're doing with your eyes. Now, there is another meaning for see. That is the dynamic meaning, which means you are having an appointment, seeing. Okay, I'm seeing the dentist today. That means you have an appointment with the dentist today. There are many different meanings, which we're going to deal with later. The same applies to most of these words here. Okay, and when you're tasting also, you taste something, you do the physical action. I'm tasting the soup to adjust the salt, and after that the soup tastes great. So that is the condition of the soup. So these words can have stative and dynamic meanings. Okay, let's look at some more stative verbs. So we also use stative verbs to talk about feelings. Okay, that picture on the right shows all the proper emojis with different kinds of feelings. So yes, Stative verbs are used to talk about feelings like dislike, love, like, hate, mind, prefer, want, need, and wish. Okay, this is not an exhaustive list, but just to give you an idea. Okay, and stative verbs are also used to talk about perceptions. Perception is nothing but the way we look at something. Now, this differs from person to person. We all have different perceptions. Okay, whatever appears, as something to us may appear as something different to others. Okay, so this picture aptly, sums it up all. So you have, number. So for one person it looks like 6, and for the other person it looks like 9. So perceptions, how it appears to you. So examples of stative verbs for perceptions are appear, be, resemble, seem, and sound. Okay, and at a more profound level, for advanced users, we also use stative verbs to talk about thoughts, different kinds of thoughts. They are all stative verbs. Okay, so for example, guess, imagine. You could say after me, and you could also think of different sentences. You can pause the video and make up some sentences with these words if you're interested. So let's continue. Know, mean, recognize, remember, suspect, think, understand, forget, realize, consider, intend. Okay, so some of the stative verbs that talk about thoughts. Stative verbs are also used to talk about opinions, what we think about something. Okay, so as I told you, the word think is also used to talk about opinions, which we are going to discuss later in the next video. And the words that denote opinions are basically agree, disagree, believe, doubt, etc. We also have stative verbs that talk about possession, meaning when you own something, that is called possession. So the words for possession are belong, have, own, possess, deserve, contain, include, consist of. Okay, so these, if you can see, they're all stative in meaning and they don't have any action meaning to them. They're all stative and not dynamic. Okay, and the next one is about measurement. So words like measure, weigh, equal, and fit, okay, are some of the stative verbs which can also have dynamic meanings. So you can actually do the act of measuring something. You can measure the length of cloth, or you can also say the cloth measures 2 meters, for example. Okay, and the same goes for weigh and fit as well. Okay, so I'm trying to fit a screw into something. That is your fit as an action word. Whereas the stative meaning is the condition of something that fits a person. This dress fits him well. Okay, so that is the stative meaning. So those are the verbs of measurement, stative verbs. Now, in this list that we look at here on the screen, we have the verbs that are strictly stative. They don't have any dynamic meaning. Okay, you can also see some verbs with words in brackets next to them. So these are the words that can have multiple meanings or dynamic meanings, but here on this list they indicate the stative meaning only. Okay, so just read along with me these words, and if you're interested, you can pause the video and you can try working up or making up some sentences with these words according to your choice. Okay, so the words are adore, agree, appear. Appear is how something looks to you. Okay, that appears good. Okay, and another meaning for appear is when you appear an exam, you're actually writing an exam. Okay, the next one is appreciate, believe, belong to, concern. Okay, this matter concerns me. That means I'm worried about this. Okay, so that's the verb. It's a stative verb. Okay, concern can also be a noun. That's a different matter. Okay, consist of, contain, cost, deny, depend on, deserve, detest, disagree, dislike. Detest is a word for hate. Okay, dislike, doubt, equal, hate, have. If you can see here, have is talking about possession, having something as your own. Okay, have can also mean eating something or consuming something. Okay, like I'm having my breakfast, that is an action word, it's a dynamic word. I'm having a good time, so those are different. Here we are talking about possessing something where you can use only the simple form. I have a house, I have 2 kids, etc. You can't say I'm having a house. Okay, so that's wrong to say. Next, here, imagine, include, involve, know, lack, like, loathe, which is the same as detest, look, how something looks to you. This is almost similar to appear. Okay, love, matter. Matter as a verb means being important. Okay, that matters to me a lot. Okay, mean, this also is stative and similar to matter. Okay, or that means a lot to me, you could say, or what do you mean? You don't say what are you meaning. Okay, measure, mind, need, owe, own, possess, promise, realize, recognize, remember, resemble, satisfy, seem, sound. Okay, suppose, surprise, think, as in opinion. Okay, what do you think about this? That is asking for opinion. Now, what are you thinking? That's an action word. You're thinking about something. Okay, and you can say I'm thinking about tomorrow's lecture or tomorrow's exam, etc. Okay, understand, want, weigh, wish. So people, that's some of the stative verbs for you. So you can try working out sentences with these words, and that's it for this session. In the next session, I'm going to talk about the stative verbs for beginners. Okay, so in my part 2 session. Okay, so thanks for watching this video, and please subscribe to my channel.